Hello everyone, you have Royce here and welcome to our channel Sansevieria 101. So for this episode, we're going to feature this time a species episode, and we're going to feature the Sansevieria species known as the species eilensis. And for everyone's info, eilensis is having the aka or the alias as the king of Sansevierias. Uh, I'm not sure who exactly coined the name or the alias King of Sansevierias for eilensis, but to discuss or give you a description of the characteristics of this species, eilensis is a very slow grower of a species. It's not very prolific. So this specimen has been with me for 5 years, and this is how it grew from a very small 4 leaves. This was the first leaf of this specimen that I have for eilensis. That small. It's about, if I may have a ruler for it, I got it at about 2-inch in leaf size, and they're a bit expensive for that size. Right now, it's already about 5 years old, and it grew about 6 inches a leaf. So, if I measure it from side to side, it would be reaching 1 feet. So, that is how my Sansevieria specimen of eilensis grew for 5 years. So, like I mentioned, it's having an alias of King of Sansevierias, and it's a very, very slow growing species. If it doesn't like how you grow it, or it doesn't like where you're putting it, it will never grow to a leaf size of about 6 inches or so. I would think that you would reach about 3 to 4 inches of leaf size for the specimen of eilensis. It's a very hard species to grow, and I have heard from some other collectors that up until now they couldn't make their Sansevieria eilensis grow roots. So that is why it got the alias or the namesake King of Sansevierias. It's a very picky type of species, very slow grower. It wouldn't give you any pups, and it's very expensive and very not rare as of the current, because I have seen them leaf propagated and sold in volumes, but not that much, because in the market they're still a bit expensive, and also they seldom or very, very rarely give out a variegated form. If ever you end up with a variegated form, it would cost a lot, it's like you have won a lottery if you have made Sansevieria eilensis variegate for you. So, a brief history of where this species come from. It was collected by John Lavernos. It has a collection number of Lavernos 10178, and was discovered 1973 on top of the Isle Pass, and this collection number is the type specimen for the species there is another collection number that is indicating also found as the species eilensis, and it is Lavranos 23374, and that was in 1985 in Puntland, New Gaal region, 10 kilometers southeast of Isle. And it was found on top of a limestone plateau, but I don't think this is the one that they have as the type specimen for the species. So right now what I'm showing you is the type specimen, and thus it will be under the collection number of 10178. So I guess that is what I can give you as the history of this Sansevieria species, which is nicknamed the king of Sansevierias. To describe further the characteristics of the leaf, they are sorta banded type. You see whitish coloration, and then having green, dark green bandings, and on top of that they have these longitudinal lines found on each leaves that are about half of an inch parallel to each other, and then there's a shorter one between them. As for the tips are whitish, as you can see. They have whitish tips, and then what's around it are like what a very old collector described it. I think it was Hermione Strover, that the tips are like dried blood. So they are kind of reddish, brownish reddish, like dried blood, which is very similar to as well as the if you are familiar with pistries, we will also feature them in the future, or the Certes or the Personi eyes. They have leaf tips that are like dried blood in color. So aside from that, the leaves are cylindrical, like bonsals. But if these were bonsals, by the way, this specimen is already 5-year-old. If these were bonsals are very prolific. You can make them pop about 20 pups in a year. So if it was 5 years, you could have 50 bonsals already. That's the difference with the bonsals, and another difference with bonsals and eilensis. Bonsals are part of the cylindrical species. You can easily make them pop, and they are in the market as readily as you can find, as compared to what I'm showing you right now, which is eilensis, which will rarely give you pups. I have seen some of the collectors resort to leaf propagating them in the hopes of having pups from the leaf propagation of this plant. But by doing that, since eilensis is a slow grower and you'll leaf propagate it, so that's about a tad more slower of making it grow from leaf propagation to this size. So folks, I think this is it for the episode of for species. Glad that I can have this done with. By the way, eilensis also has no known cultivars, so it is one of its kind, or one of its species, no other very similar species. So it's just this episode that I'm going to feature it with. There are no varieties, no cultivars, and also like I mentioned, they rarely variegate or give you a variegated pup or mutate. So everyone, so I think this is it for this content. If you like the content that I'm showing, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everyone.